Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located on Earth. This very short video clip, we will be looking at cell reference in Excel, the various types of cell reference, and their respective examples. Remember, previously in our former video, we looked at some of the basic operations you can perform in Microsoft Office Excel. So today we are taking that further. We are looking at cell references. So I'm going to pull out my Microsoft Office Excel and see how it is. Let's do this. So here on the screen, you have 5 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Each of the items talking about specific things related to the same topic, cell references. Now, the first one says, a cell reference tells a cell the exact cell you want to use. A cell is such a program that every item value you are entering is locked into a particular box. Each of those boxes you see here is actually called a cell. So you can see this very point I'm highlighting. This is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell. Each of these cells here has its own very address. Where can you get that address? If you take your mouse and with me, you come to this area here, you can see this area showing F6. F6 here is actually the address or the reference of this very cell as is highlighted here. The F here refers to the column, see it here, refers to this column F, and the 6 refers to this very row. So the point they intersect here is the F6 here. That is the reference of that very cell. So that is what we mean by a cell reference. Okay, it tells Excel the cell you want to use. So it's here, it points to the cell's column letter, which is this very F, and row number, which is the very 6 we said earlier. So this is just an example. It says example A1 means column A and row 1. This is column. All the columns are lettered. In Excel, all the columns are lettered. So this is column A, column B, column C, column D, so on and so forth. That is how they are organized. And the rows are numbered 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth to 1,000,000 plus. So take note of that. So, but what are the various types of cell references we have? There are 3 main types. There are 3 main types of cell references. We have what we call absolute cell reference, relative cell reference, and mixed cell reference. So what do we mean by absolute cell reference? Here it says this keeps the cell fixed even when you copy the formula. For example, you can see this very cell reference here. You can see the dollar sign before the A and after the A. So anytime you see a cell reference with this dollar sign, it means it is fixed even though you copy to a different location. Let's demonstrate with example. If I have in this very cell, this is a D, you can see it here, D4. I have, let's say, 6 in it, and another cell here, I have 8 in it. You following? Then this one I have, let's say, 10. This one I have, let's say, 12 here. And let me centralize this, highlight them and centralize. So let's say I have these following values in each of these cells. Now I want to add this. I want to add these values. So I will come to this cell. Remember what we did in our previous video. If you want to have more information about how to perform basic arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, and all that, you can check the description box. You will see the link to that very video. Now I want to add these 3 cells here with these values. So I will say equal sum. Remember what we did in our previous video. Open brackets. From this cell to the last one, hit the enter key, and that will give me the value there, 20. As you can see on your screen, let me centralize it. This is 20. Now if you see this very formula I use here, if you see this very formula I use here, or this very function, you can see this D4 here and this D6. There's no dollar sign here. So it means this type of cell reference is called relative reference. Relative reference. Why is it relative? The value changes. Okay, sorry, the cell reference changes based on where the formula is copied. Now, this one that is here, that gives me this 20, that gives me this 20. If I drag from here, this tiny box at the bottom right corner, if I drag it from here to this other second column, you see, check this very formula that gives this 20. You can see it here. Then click here again, this 20, this 29, see it here. You can see that the cell reference has changed. It has changed because there is no dollar sign. Because there's no dollar sign, it is called a relative cell reference. So it changes, the cell changes based on where the formula is copied, based on where you are using it. So, but if I want this very cell, this cell reference here to be fixed, even though I drag it, move it, or come to any position, it should remain locked to a particular cell, a particular row. I will now include dollar sign here. How do I do that? So let me delete all this again and start this formula here. Equal, let's say, sum, open bracket. We'll start from here, drag it to this one I want to add. Get it now? So this very one from D, I will add the dollar sign. For another dollar sign, I will explain what each of these one. Why am I putting all these dollar sign there? I want to lock it, but there's something I want to reveal to us. So here, you see, I have locked everything. Now, why am I putting the D, the dollar sign before the D? The dollar sign before the D means I am locking column D. So irrespective of where I'm copying this cell, the column D should remain locked. The cell reference should not change from column D. Then what about putting the dollar sign before the 4? What I'm saying here is no matter where I copy this cell to or this formula to, it should be locked to row 4. Remember, this is row 4. Row 4 is here, where you have this one. This is row 4. Row 4 here. So no matter where you copy this in, this cell reference will remain fixed the way it is. It will be locked to that range, it will be locked to that cell, it won't change. Such a reference is called absolute cell reference. So let me hit enter and you see the same 20. It gives you the same 20 as the previous cell formula. Now, if I drag it from here, if you hold down this tiny box button and drag it to this other side, you see give you 20. The 20 here is not based on these values here. No, it's still calculating this value because you have locked this formula to this very cell. You locked everything to this cell. So no matter where you copy this formula to, the value will remain 20. It will not change. Even though you place in the middle of other numbers, it will remain locked to that very range. It won't change. So that's why it's called absolute reference. So the one that changes depending on where you copy it to is called relative cell reference. The one that remains fixed, that remains locked, even though you copy it to a different cell location, is called absolute cell reference. However, you can have these two together in one big formula. So by the time you have relative cell reference and absolute cell reference together in one place, you call such cell reference mixed cell reference. You can see it here, mixed cell reference. Says this fixes one part and allows the other part to change. For example, you can see this now. Now, if you look at this formula here, if you look at this very formula here, column A is fixed, row 1 is not fixed. Look at this one here, column A is not fixed, row 1 is fixed. So by the time you have this type of cell reference, we call this one mixed cell reference. So it means it is partial, it's not totally absolute, it's not totally what? Relative. It is both relative and the absolute at the same time, because you are putting two references together in one piece. So take note of these few ones. So as we progress, we'll be seeing how we can deploy these three main types of cell references in performing basic arithmetic operations. So if you have any question, any comment, please share the comment box and put your comments there. And the link to other similar tutorial like this are available there. Thank you and God bless you. See you again.